So the pandemic was the time where this changed. You found the impetus to make it. Talk to me about what you were feeling during this time that really pushed you to say, I don't want to renew my contract. I don't even want to look for another job. I want to look for a new direction.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I think I had a lot of support from my parents, which is huge. I think that I was becoming more and more comfortable with the concept of kind of being at ease with not knowing how crucial that is for making choices in the future. I realized that, okay, I have this skill set. It's very transferable and can be pertained in a lot, can be transferred to a lot of different industries in a lot of different ways. And I don't have to keep going through my days not enjoying what I'm doing and not feeling passionate and not feeling fulfilled. Like, says who? And again, it goes back to that dream of like, whose dream am I really trying to actualize here? Is it truly what I want to be doing? Because if you wake up and you're not happy, like, who cares about your title? Who cares about your social media followers? And this grit that you've had to follow this career path for this long and make it this far, nothing else matters if your personal happiness is at stake.
Was this dream of broadcast journalism like not yours?
And I think that's one of the questions that I'm grappling with right now. It's just funny. And like, obviously my mom, she's my biggest fan. I love her to death. But like, I think back to when I made that shift of like wanting to be the astronaut to wanting to be a news reporter, and how on board she was with it and how much she supported it and how it just became kind of ingrained in my identity. And again, my dad really pushing for me to start the media club in high school, and then finding a really good school for broadcast journalism. And then, and it's like along the way, I fit the bill. Right? Like public speaking came easy to me. Public speaking came easy to me. Writing in English, I was much better at than math. So it just always made sense.
Did you now take like the really wrong, easy way out into like the hardest field rather?
Right? Like lowest paying. Right. I know. I'm like, couldn't this have been just like, couldn't I be like an attorney maybe, or like the medical field? Right. Like, no, like literally the lowest paying, most stressful job field you can possibly imagine.
Did you feel alone in that because what you were feeling about the industry, wanting to change, wanting to leave? Because journalists usually love, thrive, only want to be at the center of the conflict, the big story, crisis, no matter how crazy, you run to the fire, you usually as a journalist. So were you feeling alone in this, or were other people having these same conflicting feelings? Other colleagues as well.
That's a great question. Yeah, to be honest with you, Meredith, my journey through broadcast journalism, through local television, was incredibly isolating. I feel like I'm an ambivert, which is an external introvert, I've learned. So like, I'm able to play the extroverted side, but I think there's a lot to be said about me being an introvert. And I'd be able to go out in the community every day and, talk to me about XYZ. And, I'd be recognized, and it would be like this whole act that I played. And I would get home and my energy would I'd be depleted. And I wouldn't have time. Like in a lot of ways, like I isolated myself from a lot of friends, family, that kind of thing, because A, I simply didn't have the energy. And I think B, because I genuinely wasn't happy. There was probably some depression in there, some real sadness. And I think it's a lot of it was trying to uphold this image that people saw of me that wasn't authentic to who I am.
I bet that is a very shared experience in the industry, and probably more people should talk about that. And because you are probably in no way alone in having those feelings.
Not at all. I think I'm so glad you asked that question. because I think there's a lot more to be said about mental health, especially with women in the TV industry, in the news industry. You go through a lot, and I think there's a lot to be said about, again, holding up this image of yourself that the public perceives you as, and how it can feel really, again, false and inauthentic and out of integrity to the person that you are, and be pretty destructive on your day-to-day.
That's real. I mean, there's nothing harder than holding up and pushing through, like, your inauthentic self, right? It's like having to hide.
It's so hard. And some days I would just and now that I'm removed from it, I think I just want to give my old self a hug for being able to get through that day, push through that when it was hard for me to get out of bed in the first place, then put on a full face of makeup, go out into the community, get these stories that sometimes I'd be screamed at for, make these deadlines, and then go live on television. I just want to give my old self a hug because of how hard it was for me at a lot of the days, especially towards the end there.
So now that you've made the move, I mean, really congratulations. I see just when people make change, it's just only a positive thing. Do you regret not doing it earlier? Is it the best thing that ever happened to you?
Another good question. I do not regret anything. I think this has all been part of my journey. I think the past 5 years have set me up for whatever is next to come. I think that, being able to meet all of these different people that I have, I was in Alabama and South Carolina, 2 states that I probably wouldn't have even set foot in had I not worked there. And being able to learn, to meet different people, learn their stories, it gives you such a broader scope on life and helps you really sit down at the table and meet someone there. And I think that these experiences that I've had, the stories that I've covered, and the people that I've met along the way, hands down, I wouldn't trade it for anything. Do I wish I started talking to a therapist sooner? Yes. But that's probably my only regret.
Well, you got there now. So as you're in a okay time of uncertainty, you're okay with this feeling, unlike a lot of people. So I guess embrace that as much as you can. Big question, what's next?
Oh, the what's next question. Yes. What's next? I'm really just setting aside what everyone else is doing and moving at my own natural pace. I think getting uncomfortable with the uncertainty is imperative for the answers to come to you. That's not to be said that I'm sleeping till noon and sitting around watching Netflix, right? I've really made it important to find routine in the lack of routine. So everything down to a very regimented morning routine to these TikTok videos that I'm currently making right now, really trying to get Gen Z, sort of labeling it as the new news in a way. Super short, because as we know, that attention span is just shrinking, about 15 to 60 second videos. But, I'm making these news TikToks for the younger generation. I think that while I've left the quote unquote journalism world, if you will, I really haven't. I think now more than ever, quality journalism matters, and reaching this younger generation is also really important, but it's how are we going to do it? They don't watch television. That's not how they get their news. So how can we inform them in a style that feels natural to them and gets the news, gets the important messages across to them quickly? So, and that's what I'm trying.
So what has that been like? What have you been covering? What are the videos looking like, other than their brevity, if you will?
It is extremely challenging, a whole new challenge in and of itself, but fun, right? And it feels so good to be using my brain and figuring it out. There's something to be said about staying sharp. So I'm enjoying that. I'm enjoying the new platform, but basically I take about 3 or 4 headlines of the day, and I use, and I'm sure you know, like TikTok, they have all of these little catchy songs. Play one of the catchy songs, the music underneath it, and then use visuals with fonts that list out the main headlines in, again, terms that they will understand in the language that they use. So it's a learning curve, a very steep learning curve, but I'm enjoying it. And like I said, I don't know where it's going to go. It may just be a little passion project of mine, but for the time being, it's pretty cool. And I really realized that just being on that platform, there isn't any way that's any sort of medium that's really delivering news to the Gen Z generation like this. So it's exciting.
So that's fantastic to be filling that niche. Do you think you want to stay in some form of the media field? Or do you want to go to Mars? Is this...
You know, I know what I don't want. So I feel like, and I really don't see myself. I think so many local journalists take the route of like PR, advertising. I don't want that. I know that that's not what I want to be doing. I could see myself either going into some sort of business, and I have like a bunch of different ideas, of ongoing Google Doc of kind of business for myself, starting some sort of entrepreneurship, going back to school. I have like a lot of different passions. So I could see myself going back to school, something along the lines of like plant medicine, or sticking to more journalism based ideas and concepts, but just making them a little more relevant. What that looks like and how that'll shape up, I don't know. But here we are.
Do you think more of going out on your own, no matter what is the direction you're looking for? Or could you see yourself like on working with like NBC's new platforms departments, or
Yeah, I could. I don't, and Meredith, the further I step away from it, the more I'm like, I will never go back to local news, which is so crazy because I mean, I'm like that.
network news. What happens if the Today Show calls tomorrow?
What, to be like a on air?
I don't know. What happens if Savannah calls tomorrow? Like, Madeline, we need you to do TikTok videos.
Okay, maybe TikTok. I don't see myself going back into an on air, on camera position for television. I could really see myself, again, utilizing different platforms. I think YouTube, I think TikTok, like I said, Snapchat. I could really see myself doing some work there. And I mean, a big part of it is because I don't think these local TV stations and even network have that much longevity left in what they're doing. Unless they like greatly upend the models that they're kind of subscribing to, I don't see a real future in them anyways.
Right.
So this all kind of came at the right time for me.
So Savannah, thank you for calling. Madeline respectfully declines your offer. Okay, I got it.
My gosh, right? That's crazy though, for you to like even say that, because
you're like starting to sweat. It's okay. It's all right.
I do not like this hypothetical.
Sorry. I'm so sorry. I mean it.
I'm like deeply triggered.
Yeah. It's understandable. It's understandable. What do you think?
But you're good at asking questions.
What do you think you learned from this whole experience? I mean, the pandemic caused the pivot of your lifetime, it sounds like.
Yeah. Yeah.
Injections moving you out of aeroscience.
Yeah, no, it's true. Yeah, I mean, I think just the power of a pause, the power of taking that leap of being able to really reevaluate and step back from the old story that you've told yourself day in and day out, and realizing that just like a career may have an end date, you know, and just because it's not forever doesn't mean that it wasn't successful. And it's like who I was is different than who I am now. Who I was when I was watching the Today Show and starting the media club, and even in my first market in Dothan, Alabama, is different. I'm a different person. And embracing that and embracing change and embracing outgrowth, I think, and then having the courage to do something about it, has really taught me a lot about my own inner strength, if you will. And I'm proud of that.
Absolutely. Well, Madeline, I think your story is going to inspire a lot of people, which is what so many need right now during these really tough times. But I think you're going to also lend some strength to other people, maybe considering the same options, industry related or not. But that ability to make change in such a scary time, if you can do it, others can. And I really commend you, and I think your story is going to help a lot of people.
Well, thank you, Meredith. And I think it's so awesome what you're doing with this platform as well. I am subscribing. I will be a big time follower. So I think it's awesome just having these conversations. So thank you for opening up this platform and letting me share a little bit about my story with you.
Absolutely. Well, we'll tell everybody else. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the Let's Talk About It channel so you can see Madeline's story and so many other videos and episodes as they go live. For now, this has been Let's Talk About It. We'll talk to you next time.